We are following breaking news from the war in Ukraine. Authorities say the main power source to the Chernobyl nuclear site has been knocked out. Chernobyl's about 90 miles north of Ukraine's capital city of Kyiv. It was one of Russian forces' first targets for seizure when they launched their invasion.
Officials say backup generators at the nuclear plant site are on and are working. This is where an infamous 1986 nuclear disaster took place. One of the reactors exploded and caused a meltdown. It spread tons of radioactive material over Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia.
You are looking live at Warsaw, Poland's capital. That is where Vice President Kamala Harris has flown today. She will visit Warsaw for a meeting with NATO allies. They plan to discuss united efforts to counter Russia's invasion of Ukraine and efforts to help the war's refugees.
United Nations officials say more than 2 million Ukrainians have left their country since the Russian invasion began 2 weeks ago.
Thousands of people are still trapped in cities being bombed by Russian troops. UN leaders are now calling the war a humanitarian crisis.
Julian is breaking down where all of these people are going.
And Wyatt and Jason, millions of civilians are still caught in the crossfire of Russian troops attacking these Ukrainian cities. Evacuation corridors are opening up from major cities to take civilians further into the country. We want to take a look here at Kyiv, Sumy, Kharkiv, Mariupol, and Kherson. These are all cities that are trying to be evacuated, but we want to focus on Sumy right here. Now, we wanted to take a look at just how far some of these evacuees have to go. We take a look, they're going down to Poltava. That's 90 miles that they're going to have to go on. They have a 12-hour window to get out there and about 24 buses to help them get to where they need to go. Now, here is the problem with getting people down from Sumy to Poltava. Looking at Russian military advancements, we know that they've come into Sumy. They're going across to the northwest. That's to get into the capital of Kyiv. They're also coming down straight into Kharkiv. So that's why that humanitarian corridor coming from Sumy to Poltava is so important. Now, as we're talking about these citizens going into Poltava, we actually have video of them. This is what you're looking at right over here. These are the 24 buses that you're about to see on this screen to my right here. These are the buses leaving the city of Sumy going down to Poltava. Again, they have about 24 buses that are taking them in there. Now, yesterday, there were unsuccessful attempts to set up humanitarian corridors from places under siege like Kyiv and Mariupol. So we decided to take a look historically if these corridors actually work. Interesting enough, one of the most notable times they were used was in the Syrian civil war in 2016 with, you may have guessed it, Russia. The major humanitarian corridors were put in place by Syrian militaries from besieged opposition-held cities. The problem, they funneled refugees from those areas into enemy territory. People trying to escape the cities of Damascus and Aleppo were told to move into military-held Idlib. So here's the question. Can these corridors actually work? Well, as you can imagine, in Syria, these paths were actually deadly. Syrian forces were accused of taking some refugees into custody and in some cases open firing on these corridors. Still, millions were able to escape safety. Right now, people living in the capital of Kyiv were being asked to do something similar. They wanted those citizens to leave Kyiv, move into Russian ally Belarus, and then into Russia. So right now, it's not clear how safe these humanitarian corridors are.
We will fight to the end at sea, in the air. We will continue fighting for our land, whatever the cost. We will fight in the forests, in the fields, on the shores, in the streets.
Words from Ukraine's president are leading to a new designation for him, war hero.
And he is drawing praise not only from Ukrainians, but fans in other countries around the world. Some are comparing the former actor and comedian to Winston Churchill.
Robert Sherman looks at how that president is getting international praise and attention.
Addressing an enthusiastic British Parliament virtually from the besieged Ukrainian capital of Kyiv, President Volodymyr Zelensky drew upon the words of one of England's most famous writers.
The question for us now is to be or not to be. You all know this Shakespearean question. For 13 days, this question could have been asked, but now I can give you a definitive answer. It's definitely yes to be.
For 13 days, the Ukrainian military has repelled the Russian invasion. And for 13 days, the Ukrainian president has refused to yield. That conviction remains.
We will continue fighting for our land, whatever the cost. We will fight in the forests, in the fields, on the shores, in the streets.
If you know your history, those words sound awfully close to another one of England's finest, Winston Churchill, who famously said, in the face of Hitler's advances through Europe, "We shall fight them on the beaches." And the Churchillian rhetoric has worked, trickling its way down to the people.
His stuff is good. He's doing everything he can.
I didn't support him during the election, but he's shown he's got guts.
In a poll conducted earlier this month by a Ukrainian firm called the Rating Group, a whopping 93% of Ukrainians said they supported the president. 80% said they were prepared to defend Ukraine with weapons in hand, and 88% said they believed Ukraine would prevail. Masterful political numbers from a man who's not a politician by trade. Previously, an actor starring in a Ukrainian TV show about a teacher who became president. How apropos. And for his encore in front of Parliament, the former actor turned president called upon the West to act.
Please increase the pressure of sanctions against this country, and please recognize this country as a terrorist state. And please make sure that our Ukrainian skies are safe.